Welcome to part 3 of the Joy series. In the first two parts, we explored how joy carries you through trials and how it grows in God's presence. But now we're stepping into something deeper, something that shapes the very foundation of your spiritual life. This part is about understanding how joy strengthens your faith, not as a feeling you chase, but as a spiritual force that stabilizes your heart. There are seasons when faith feels heavy, when prayer feels like work, when hope feels thin, and when you're trying to believe, but everything in you feels tired. Those are the moments when joy becomes more than an emotion. It becomes strength. The Bible says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." That means strength doesn't come from trying harder. It doesn't come from forcing yourself to be positive. It comes from something God places inside you, something that lifts your faith when your circumstances try to pull it down. And here's the part most people miss. Joy doesn't replace faith. It reinforces it. It supports it. It gives faith the energy, clarity, and endurance it needs to stand firm when life becomes overwhelming. Now let's move into the heart of this teaching. When your faith feels weak, it's rarely because you stopped believing. More often, it's because your sense of delight in God has faded. You're still praying, still reading, still trying, but the spark feels dim. Joy is what reignites that spark. It brings warmth back into your relationship with God. It restores the sense of closeness that makes faith feel alive instead of mechanical. When joy rises, faith becomes lighter, more hopeful, and more resilient. One of the ways joy strengthens faith is by shifting your focus. When you're discouraged, your attention naturally gravitates toward what's wrong. You replay the problem, rehearse the fear, and imagine outcomes that drain your hope. But joy redirects your attention back to God's character, His goodness, His faithfulness, His promises, His track record in your life. Joy reminds you that God has never failed you, even when the path was unclear. And when your focus shifts, your faith strengthens. You begin to believe again, not because the situation changed, but because your perspective did. Joy also strengthens faith by restoring spiritual energy. Faith requires energy, emotional, mental, and spiritual. When you're discouraged, everything feels heavier. Prayers feel longer. Worship feels quieter. Scripture feels harder to absorb. But when joy rises, energy returns. You find yourself praying with more confidence, worshiping with more freedom, and reading Scripture with more expectation. Joy fuels the spiritual stamina you need to keep believing, keep trusting, and keep moving forward. Another way joy strengthens faith is by reminding you of your identity. When life gets difficult, it's easy to forget who you are. You start to see yourself through the lens of your struggles instead of through the lens of God's truth. But joy brings you back to center. It reminds you that you are loved, chosen, protected, and empowered. It reminds you that God is with you, not against you. It reminds you that you are not fighting for victory. You are fighting from victory. And when you remember who you are, your faith becomes more grounded and confident. Joy strengthens faith through gratitude. Gratitude is the soil where joy grows, and it's also the lens that helps you see God clearly. When you intentionally remember what God has done, how He's provided, protected, guided, and sustained you, your faith naturally strengthens. Gratitude turns your memory into a weapon against doubt. It reminds you that if God has been faithful before, He will be faithful again. Gratitude doesn't ignore the problem, it simply refuses to let the problem overshadow God's goodness. Joy also strengthens faith by creating spiritual resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back, to recover, to stand firm even after being knocked down. Without joy, resilience is difficult. You may get back up, but you get up tired, discouraged, or hesitant. With joy, resilience becomes natural. You rise with confidence, not because the situation is easy, but because your spirit is anchored. Joy gives you the ability to endure without becoming bitter, to wait without losing hope, and to trust without needing immediate answers. Another dimension of joy that strengthens faith is the way it shapes your expectations. Faith thrives on expectation, on believing that God is not only able but willing to move in your life. When joy is present, expectation rises. You begin to anticipate God's goodness instead of fearing the worst. You start to look for His hand in the situation instead of assuming He's distant. Joy lifts your expectations, and lifted expectations strengthen your faith. Joy deepens your relationship with God. When you delight in Him, you naturally draw closer to Him. You talk to Him more freely, worship more sincerely, and trust more easily. Joy makes your relationship with God feel less like a duty and more like a connection. And the closer you are to God, the stronger your faith becomes. Faith is not strengthened by distance, it's strengthened by intimacy. Joy pulls you into that intimacy. Community plays a role as well. When you surround yourself with people who carry joy, people who encourage, uplift, and speak life, you feel your faith rising. Their joy becomes contagious. Their hope becomes inspiring. Their perspective becomes grounding. Community joy strengthens individual faith, and when your own joy is strong, you become that source of strength for others. You become the person who lifts the room, who brings peace into conversations, who reminds people of God's goodness without even trying. Joy strengthens your faith so you can strengthen the faith of others. Joy also helps you interpret your circumstances correctly. Without it, challenges feel like punishment. With it, challenges feel like preparation. Without it, delays feel like rejection. With it, delays feel like timing. Without it, obstacles feel like barriers. With it, obstacles feel like opportunities for God to reveal His power. Joy doesn't change the situation, it changes the meaning of the situation. And when the meaning changes, your faith becomes more stable. Joy gives you spiritual clarity. When your heart is heavy, your vision becomes cloudy. You can't see the path clearly. You can't hear God clearly. You can't discern your next step. But when joy rises, clarity returns. You begin to see possibilities instead of limitations. You begin to hear God's voice more clearly. You begin to sense direction instead of confusion. Joy clears the fog so faith can move forward with confidence. Joy reminds you of eternity. When you're overwhelmed by the temporary, joy lifts your eyes to the eternal. It reminds you that this world is not your home, that your story is bigger than this moment, and that God is working all things together for good. Joy gives you the long view, the eternal view. And that perspective strengthens your faith in ways nothing else can. And finally, joy aligns your heart with God's heart. When you delight in Him, you begin to desire what He desires. You begin to trust His timing, His wisdom, and His ways. Joy brings your heart into harmony with His, so your faith isn't something you force, but something that flows naturally from your relationship with Him. This is the strength God intended for you. A strength that doesn't depend on circumstances. A strength that doesn't fade when life gets difficult. A strength that grows from the inside out. Thank you for listening, and please like, share, and subscribe.